Amazing. Welcome everybody to day 7, to our final day of the New Earth Woman. For those of you catching a replay, you're the only one seeing this message. Nobody else is on live yet. So please do say hello. Let me know that you're here. Let me know that you're watching the replay. Let me know how you have gone with the days previous to this, what you've received from the week, and I'm going to get straight into it. So as you jump on live, please do say hello. Let me know that you're here. As we move through today's content, please do chat or comment along as we go. I love the interaction. I love the engagement. It gives me life. Hey, Alicia. Hey, Kathleen. Thanks for being here. Thank you for joining us for the final day of the New Earth Woman. This has been a really big week. I have truly given you my all, given you my soul, shared with you so much about what it is to take this journey of the New Earth Woman, what it is to be in your highest existence and be in your highest timeline. And I really do trust that you've all received something magical at least once, hopefully every day. And thank you, Alicia. Thanks so much. Hey, beautiful Samantha. Thanks everybody for joining, catching on the live. So I thought I would start off with a little bit of a reverse gap on what it is that we've covered this week, and just then we're going to go into a little bit of content for today, and then I'm going to go in and cover what the next steps are to anchoring in this version of yourself and to how to go deeper if you're feeling called to do so. So day one, a whole week ago, we went and covered, the introduction to what the New Earth Woman was and what her frequencies entail and what the codings are that are available for a woman of the New Earth. And one of the major kind of takeaways for most people was the part when we did the reverse gap. Now, the reverse gap, as we're going to do right in this moment, hey Katie, is to recognize how far we've come, recognize all of the pieces of awareness and all of the awakenings that we've had over this entire week, and look back and see, oh, okay, we were somebody different before. We've come a long way. And acknowledging ourselves for having taken the journey. For those of you who have kept up with 7 days worth of content, I want you to recognize that that is an amazing effort. I want you to shower yourself with gratitude for showing up for yourself. Acknowledge that you're so devoted to your growth and to your expansion. Looking at how far we've come is very, very, very important and integral part of the journey to becoming or unbecoming. Because when we ignore how far we've come, we can constantly be in this state of looking forward and looking at the gap ahead of us and where we want to go, instead of really sitting in deep appreciation for where we are. So that was day one. Day two, we disconnected and cleared the false guru templating. The templating that tells us that somebody else external of us knows better, that somebody else external of us has more or is better or is enough in comparison. We cleared away all of the little pieces of plugs that had us hooked into other people, that created a not enoughness for ourselves, purely based on the looking up to, placing other people on a pedestal. And we cleared that all away so that we could come into more sovereignty with our own wisdom, where we could recognize that the leaders that we have are a reflection of us. And when we can truly anchor into that, we see more of ourselves, and therefore we become better leaders of our own lives, and can sometimes also be an example for others. Day three, we went into our divine purpose and how it is your purpose, my purpose, everyone's purpose to be themselves, to be the fully expressed version of themselves, to step more and more into shining their light as bright as they can And so long as you're following that light, that spark that lights you up in everything that you do, whether it be jumping on a Facebook Live or helping people, whatever it is, tuning into what lights you up, because when you're lit up, when you're shining brightly, that's when you make the impacts. It's not because you're trying to make an impact, it's because you're shining brightly, and that creates ripples of magic out into the world as a result of you shining, not because you're trying. Day 4, we went into the last thing on day 3 was the push of the ego and the pull of the soul. And how when we follow the pull instead of the push of the ego, again, how we can come just more centered into that light shining. Day 4, we went into the ego, how to interact with the ego, and how to come into more deep, true self-acceptance. We covered instead of fighting with the parts of us that are telling us that we are less than, we can actually come into a better relationship and love on those parts of ourselves that are otherwise unlovable. Day 5, we went into soul sister relationships, and I shared such a big piece of my heart with you around what it is to have deep, connected friendships, and how it is that we cultivate them, and how it is that we call them in. Again, by simply shining our light, but also recognizing all the pieces in where we are unable to receive. Recognizing the filters that create us to put our stuff into a container instead of coming in with more purity. Then day 6, yesterday, we went into self-parenting. We went into covering how to call in the Divine Mother and the Divine Father within ourselves, and how to hold ourselves through anything. It's been such an amazing journey that we've gone on this week, and I would love to hear from you. For those of you who are on live, for those of you who are on the replay, what was your favorite day? If you watched the videos, if you haven't, I encourage you to go back and watch the replays. And I would love to hear from you, like, what were some of the pieces that you took away? As we anchor in the awarenesses that we gain through other people sharing, that's how we connect with the newer timeline, the higher timeline of existence. Because if we don't integrate our learnings, if we don't anchor them in and experience them, like use them in our daily lives to make a shift and make a change, then nothing changes. And we stay in the old timelines that aren't serving us anymore, because this piece of information or this piece of awakening or this piece of data has dropped in. And unless we integrate it, unless we use it, unless we move forward and bring it in to our experience, it's just knowledge. And knowledge and wisdom are two completely different things. Wisdom is embodied experience. And so I would love to hear from you. What is it that you've taken in, and either it's shown up in your week this week or it's shifted something for you? What's different? And that's basically been our week so far. Today, we're going to be covering a little exercise of kind of looking at those pieces that are still kind of holding us into these old existences and experiences, and how we can kind of clear some of those and move into and anchor into this new Earth Woman frequency. And then we're going to talk about the next steps. Katie says, I loved the knowing and acceptance that through my being, I receive all the things my heart desires. And this is the new Earth experience. Yes. It's so delightful. What an amazing world that we get to live in, where we get to just simply be ourselves. So beautiful. So today's little piece of content, today's little piece of beautiful, oh, here we go, dissolving the external links, recognizing your gifts, self-parenting, it's all been fab. Thank you, Alicia. I think you'll love today. We're not going to go super, super, super deep today, but I'm going to leave you with a piece that you can kind of walk away with. It is a piece that we go deeper into in the Wise Warrior Woman, but I wanted to give you some kind of food for thought. I want you to kind of recognize some of these pieces and kind of work with them. And if you are someone that's feeling called to work deeper, you will have like these really amazing pieces to start to kind of work with and then really amplify them in the offering, in the immersion. So this is about what are the leftover ties that we have into the old earth, into the old way of being, into the old reality that we're shifting into and shifting away from. So in day one, I spoke about like what it is, what the old earth kind of looks like, and how the new earth and the new earth woman is going to be interacting with the world. And so what I would love you to take away and have a really good think about today is like, what are the things that we think that we need in order to be enough? What are the things that we think that we need in order to have a relationship? What are the things that we think that we need in order to be fully accepted? Now, for some of you, it might be the body. It might be, I need to get a particular weight or look a particular way in order to be enough or accepted. For some of us, it might be money. I need to have X amount of hundreds of thousands of dollars in my bank account before I'm enough, before I will be seen as successful. It could be knowledge. It could be like looking at other people sharing their knowledge and going, oh, I just don't know enough. I'm never going to be able to do what I want to do because I just don't have enough information to share. It could be that you want a house or a car, something that gives status. It could be a relationship. It could be this story of, if I'm single for the rest of my life, that means that I was never enough. Enough for someone, enough for society, enough for God, whatever it is. And I want you to look at all of these pieces. If you feel like sharing, by all means, this is a safe space. You're welcome to share, but you absolutely do not need to or have to. This is something for you to go and sit with and ponder with. And start to consider, where is those stories coming from? And for who are we trying to be enough? For who gives us the enough status when we have those things? And the really easy way to kind of recognize these and what they are is by looking at which pieces we try to hide, which pieces we hold a little bit of shame around. It might be our living situation, it might be our bank account, it might be our clothing size. It might be putting an enormous amount of makeup on our faces in order to hide what it is that we really look like. What are the little niggles of shame that are being kind of amplified in our space? I have a few comments here. Mine was about my body, but I've moved beyond that. Have finally found peace in accepting where I am now as good enough. Yes, I love this. I think it may be knowledge. This is a huge one for so many people. I know I've told that story in the past, where I need to know more, I need to have more to share in order to be enough. The reality is your version of like what you have available and what it is that you can share is enough for a certain group of people, because we're not here to serve everybody. We are not here to shine brightly for every single person. We're not actually here to do it for other people. If we feel called and we feel pulled to share some of what we have, we can come into a place that is available to us if we choose to decide that what we have is enough. I used to think that I was a failure because I wasn't able to bring children into this world as a woman, but I've made peace with that for now, and I mother in so many other ways. Ooh. That one cuts, Sam. I'm sending you so much love. What an amazing thing for you to have received out of that. You are such a beautiful, divine, amazing, mothering being. Just because you don't have the physical children, that doesn't make you any more, any less lovable. Thank you for sharing that with us. And so we get to look at all of the places in which we're holding shame, all of the places that we recognize. Now, these can be hidden. These can be little buggers of things that are kind of like hiding in the background, kind of sneaking away from us. And so when we look at all of these things, like the list that I started with, we go, okay, cool. What parts of myself would I prefer that the world didn't see? What parts of myself do I kind of hide or manage to kind of make look better in order for the sake of other people seeing it? These feelings that we have around these things, around these experiences or external kind of materialistic things or physical things, the feelings that we have that associate with those things that are telling us the stories of whether we're enough or not, are there similarly. I mean, it's our ego that's telling the story, but it's what is creating the separation. These threads that are connected to each one of those pieces are like kind of breakers that keep us sort of separate from the truth, which is that each and every single one of us is enough in this exact moment, exactly how we are. And each of those little pieces and the connections that we hold with them create and keep us in these loops of stories, loops of striving, loops of like chasing success, loops of the push of the ego to try and get the thing so that we get there. And this is about tuning into where is there? What are the things that make us think that we have to get to a different place? And so this is like an assessment and a look from a higher place. We kind of come up and bird's eye view onto our experience, and we look and we see, where are the pockets where I have a cord from me connected to that thing that says, I need to get there, I need to achieve, I need to succeed, I need to have a partner, I need to have the body, I need to have the money. And look at it from that bird's eye view without judgment, just with simple recognition. Okay, cool. I have a few threads. I have a few things that are holding me from this timeline, from this existence as the new earth woman. and back into these old patterns and old stories and old earth and 3D reality. And there's just a cord that kind of holds between those two realities. And it's up to us as to when and how we want to break them. And so if you look at each of those places, not only can you obviously go and receive support and help, whether it be from somebody on your team or a healer or whatever, coach, but there's also some really simple practices that you can do within yourself, especially when you've done a lot of the healing journey stuff, and it start to see these threads. And like we did on day, can't remember, the guru, day 2, I want you to see those spikes that are coming out, that are keeping you separate, that are plugged into all of these other things that are the determining factor of whether you are enough or not. And I want you to literally wash them over with white light and just allow them to become soft and dissolve. Allow them to fall away. Allow yourself to cut yourself bare, releasing all of the extra layers, all of the spikes, all of the cords that are connecting you to all of these other things. And just wash yourself over. Allow yourself with, it was on day 4, where you are held in the hands of God, guides, whatever it is that you want to reference, the higher power. And allow all of those things to literally wash away from you. This is not a one-time thing. This is not a one-time practice. In every single day, in every single experience, we're going to have some of those like creep back in, or somebody will like trigger this old story, or, you know, this is like an ever kind of evolving experience where we, with every cracking open into a new availability of a higher existence, with every new awareness, with every new awakening, we have to kind of shed and clear away some of the old stories, some of the old attachments, some of the old linkages, which were creating the realities that we were living in before. Yeah. Janie, sorry, I always read that wrong for some reason. There is no there, it's the shadow walking. We are there in every moment in our full embodiment, even when we are feeling less than. Exactly. And that brings us back into day 4. It's like, how can we love ourselves in the moments of feeling less than? When that ego is talking and when that ego is going rife in our mind, telling us that we're not enough, how can we love that part? How can we love the story that's telling us that we're not enough, and just say, thank you, ego. Say what you need to say. I'm going to love you anyway. Come to yourself in the mirror, look yourself in the eye, come face to face with the story that you're telling yourself, and watch it dissolve. Watch its power just literally fall away. So once this process is kind of done on your daily basis, each time that you experience this process and you feel that you need to kind of disconnect from people, from things, from money, from knowledge, whatever the story is, from the body, any of those things, after you've done that, after you feel that purity, after you feel that cleansing and that washing over and coming back into the hands, being held, feeling that self-acceptance, feeling that acceptance of God, feeling that experience of true knowing, because all of these other things that are experiencing are just us forgetting, because we know deep down that the truth is that we're enough exactly right now. After that, I want you to feel into what would feel really good to connect some new chords, new threads into your higher timeline. What are some of the themes, or what are some of the pieces of the new timeline that you can connect to hold you to move forward into that new earth woman, that version of you that is being rebirthed with every new piece of awareness, with every new practicing of a change or a practice. So for me, those three new like anchor points, the ones that feel like the clearest and purest, are divine love, divine truth, and divine connection. And within each of those is a number of offshoots of other ones. So in the divine love, how can I find more love for myself? How can I remind myself every single day that even when my ego pops up, even when something happens that doesn't feel good, I can love myself through it? Divine truth. What is the truth? Reminding myself every single day in every single moment. I'm telling a story right now. The truth is that actually that story is untrue. And divine connection. Holding myself with God. Again, whatever your connection points are is perfect. Whatever the higher power is, whatever the messengers are, is perfect. What are the anchor points of the higher timeline? What are the anchor points of the new earth woman that you want to connect into, that you want to consciously create a bridge between where you are now and where you want to be? Not from a place of I need to get there, but from a place of bringing this closer into now, being enough in the now, and holding yourself in your highest self, in this moment. Not because you need something else, but because you're anchoring into enoughness in this moment now. So that was kind of the final piece around holding that new earth timeline and how we connect to it, and clearing away some of those old templates that are holding us in an older timeline. Now, I shared with you, I think it was on day one, that one of the archetypes of the new earth woman came through and was kind of starting to be birthed at the start of the year for me, that I have to share with you, which is the wise warrior woman. And I wanted to share a few things about her with you today, because we've covered some really, really powerful stuff this week. And it's really been scratching the surface of kind of calling in this higher timeline and this higher existence. And so I wanted to share with you an offering that I have. And if you're feeling called to do some more of this type of work, if you're feeling called to have somebody who is a divine reflection of who you are, if you're feeling the pull of your soul towards working with somebody to anchor in some of these elements that we've spoken about this week and some of the elements I'm going to speak about today, then this is one of the ways in which are available. I also work with people in different ways, but today I'm just going to speak about the wise warrior woman. If you're feeling called, but not particularly to this, then you're more than welcome. I completely would absolutely love to hear from you. Just private message me and we can have a chat. So, the wise warrior woman. The experience of a 5-month journey is where we are creating these heaven on earth timelines, these heaven on earth existences, these new earth, which is heaven on earth, bringing them into our now reality through not only creating like a visual for it, but using some new ways of interacting with the world in order to be in that existence right now within ourselves, and anchoring in the heaven on earth reality that has been calling you forward, where you are completely shining your light, not necessarily without fear, but with courage, with the courage that has you move through the fear, overcome the fear, look fear in the eye with a wink, because you know that you've got the courage to move through it. Every single one of us has that availability. It's just a matter of how we tap into it, whether we're willing to tap into it. So as we anchor in the pieces of the wise warrior woman, we are ultimately becoming the new earth woman. And when I say becoming, it's actually unbecoming. It's actually clearing away the old identities that aren't serving us, the ones that are telling those stories, these threads that I've been talking about, all of these old pieces that are holding us here instead of here. The ones that kind of lock us back into the old way instead of calling us and pulling us forward into the new way. So I'm just going to share with you a few of the things that we're going to be covering in this sacred sisterhood. And some of the things that I wish that I had the time to share with you this week, but 7 days, it only gives us a certain period of time, and I certainly didn't want to overwhelm anybody. I wanted to give you as much as I could without it kind of being too much. So we're going to be going into the masculine and the feminine dynamics and how to call forward more of these healthy elements, anchor them in so that we can be the wise warrior, new earth woman. Because they're already in each of us. It's just a matter of looking at where the unhealthy pieces are and allowing them to fall and dissolve away through connecting us with the higher version, allowing our soul to pull us forward. We're going to be bringing in inner divine union in self. And for those of you who don't have someone in your life and you desire that, that will be part of calling that in. And for those of you who do have somebody, it will be about coming into greater, deeper connection, first within yourself, and then also it will be a ripple effect for that person that is in your life, or people, whatever floats your boat. We'll be clearing away some of the good girl and the nice girl templates that keep us people pleasing and keep us in lower experiences because we're not honoring what it is we need. When we don't speak up out of fear of hurting somebody or of disappointing somebody. So instead, we kind of, I've lost the words, but we don't kind of honor ourselves through our own experience. It's all about expression and sharing from truth and from love and from connection, instead of from these old kind of templates that have been telling the stories about women for eons. We're going to be anchoring in what it is to truly be seen. I know that so many women struggle with being seen, not only from a platform perspective of business, showing up on video, photos, all that stuff, but also really intimately seen in intimate relationships with other women, with men, with our families. We're going to be really anchoring in and coming deep into our own sovereign channel, our own connection with the Creator, with ourself, and doing more energetic kind of disconnection from all the things that are not that, so that we can move forward with this real purity of our experience, because we're not plugged into all of these kind of external things that are really not serving us. We're going to be really calling forward our self-leadership and how we lead internally first, because that will create a ripple of how we then lead others if we feel called to do so. And like I said, for me, the purity of the leadership is recognizing that we are simply a reflection for those around us, and vice versa. And so we're taking kind of radical responsibility for our experiences. And lastly, we're really going to be cultivating the courage to step into the full version of yourself, the full expression of yourself, the part of you that has been pulling you forward. And again, just like moving anything that isn't that, so that we can shine as brightly as we were born to shine. So that each and every single woman has the opportunity to express herself into the world, to create into the world, and hold this higher new earth frequency and timeline for all the other women that are going to follow us into the world over the next couple of generations. We are at such an important part of our experience right now, where we have been called forward. We, as in every single person in their own experience, in their own reality. And for some of us who are really deep in this type of play, I don't want to say work because it's play, we are being called to hold the next level, to hold the next existence, the next experience for humanity through our own experience. And each time we crack open a new way, we're literally creating new worlds. And for every one individual that does this from a place of love and divine truth, it kind of like makes up for so much of the darkness and the negativity purely through being this expression of ourselves, because the light will always outshine the dark. And so that is the sacred sisterhood that is coming forward in the Wise Warrior Woman, a 5-month immersion with myself, a maximum of 8 women. And depending on how many come through, there may be 2, there may be 6, there may be 8. If you're feeling called, I have spaces available this week coming to have a chat about the Wise Warrior Woman, if it's the right fit for you. If you're feeling called, it's an obligation-free chat. We'll just see where you're at. But please only connect if you're feeling really committed, really devoted to this new Earth Woman version of yourself. So thank you all so much for being present with me this week. Thank you for showing me your attention, your devotion to yourself. Thank you for reflecting back to me all of the magic that you all show me. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that this week is over, to be honest. But I'm so grateful for every single person that has watched, listened, commented, been part of this. It's been a really big week of giving for me. And that's what makes me grateful now that I can go into, I'm so glad that actually throughout the week there was some places where I was really filled my cup, like on my birthday, which I shared with you guys, because I really, I felt quite tapped out. And so this afternoon, I'll be definitely filling up my own cup. And so thank you all so much for being here. Thank you all so much for sharing your light. Thank you all for everything that you've put into this, all of the energy in receiving. Thank you, beautiful. Thank you, beautiful, amazing humans, for being here. So that's all from me. That's all from the New Earth Woman for now. And I would love you to reach out to me and tell me what you received from this. Send me a private message. I would love to hear from you. Tell me what you got, what is different for you after having been here this week. Thank you, Kathleen. Oh, thank you, Alicia. Thanks, Pia. Thanks, Katie. Thanks, Janie. Thanks, Samantha. You guys are awesome. I will come back and read all of your comments properly after. They are moving too quickly for me right now. But I will read them all properly and I will reply. Thank you all so much. It's been such an absolute pleasure to have you be here with me. So thank you. Sending you all so much love. And I looked forward to hearing from some of you if you're feeling called to continue in some capacity with me. Much love. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Mwah.